Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today. I thought we'd open the morning's mail, including some periodicals. One in particular, Architectural Digest arrived. So I thought we'd mosey on through it and see what we make of the latest floor plan delicacies they serve up for us. Those of you who are new to the channel, this is a feature on this channel. I never know what you people are going to like. It's the things you like are always the things that most surprise me. This is a feature called Donoghue Does Decor, where I take you through Architectural Digest, the United States' premier architectural and home design magazine, and point out all the coke-fueled lunacy in its pages. You seem to like it, so let's page through. Now, the irritations with this issue, they're all irritations. They're almost nothing, almost never do anything right. Every home profile in Architectural Digest is a tragedy. It is a cautionary tale. But the irritations in this issue start on the cover. Fresh attitude. Look at that subtitle. Creatives at home, coast to coast. There's no such thing as a creative. Here they're being talked about like they were an alien species. There's no such thing as a creative. We are all creative. It's not, oh, let's see how the creatives set up their home. No. It's a muscle. Like anything else, you get better with it the more you use it. But anyway, we have the customary full-page color ads for wristwatches. That wristwatch, I'm sure that the price is not listed here. They don't do it anymore because they're afraid of consumer backlash. I'm sure that is $100,000 for a wristwatch, for a watch that you put on your hand. $100,000. But the issue starts off with extremely expensive ads like that. It must have cost them a huge amount of money to place that ad, probably $35,000. Of course, they sell one watch with that ad, they're fine. And they're going to sell more than one watch with that ad. But the beginning is extremely expensive ads like that are often of very little interest, maybe a little shopping guide or a house profile. Like, for instance, I couldn't help but notice this. I have one friend who would make symphony meals in a kitchen like that. That is just incredible. That's the kind of a kitchen that belongs in a professional restaurant. To have that in your home, oh my. That I am very easy to please when it comes to culinary matters, but I have a friend who could make meals that would please anybody. Then we have, there is a little bit of a profile in the discovery section at the beginning of the magazine. This is a couple who has a New York loft. I don't know how many of you are familiar with New York architecture, and I don't know how many of you have ever been inside a New York loft, especially an old one. But there can be amazing spaces. They really can be. Which makes it all the more heartbreaking to see them just done wrong. Just all the amazing parts of them ruined in Architectural Digest. Like, for instance, here is our couple, and they are in their, I guess, kitchen. I don't know what this is. I'm assuming that there's a compartment in there. You open the door and there's Hitler and Eva Braun. That's what it looks like. And you've got the usual mistakes that we see in Architectural Digest all the time. It's nice that you have natural light in this room. It looks like the room curves a little. Great that you can't see it. All the seating in the room is with its back to the natural light. Why? Why do that? And there's this little foyer here. That is a wonderful space. Of course, you want to get rid of the folding whatever, the pretentious folding whatever. These curved doors are very nice, but all of this stupid quiche has to go. That skateboard, designed to give a kind of a, hey, we just rolled in attitude to the house, that is actually bolted to the floor. And if you touch it, you get shot by the help, who are not paid. These people don't have a casual bone in their body. But the thing that sent me over the moon about this particular New York City loft is something that a lot of them have. It's little space. I love little spaces. In any place where I live, I try to colonize the smallest space as my little book room. I call it my little book room because it has been decades since I had a desk in that room. If I put a desk in that room, even with a bed, I could call it a study, as pretentious as that is, but I don't, because I don't use a desk anymore. I periodically feel terrible about that. I have my father's desk. I periodically think, put this somewhere prominent and work at your desk. And I never do it because someone is not at my desk. There's a certain someone who's not at my desk. Plus, anyway, I was paging through this profile of this loft and came to the little study And oh my, it's a tiny little room with one big window of its own. Oh my, look at that. Oh, oh my. I know exactly what I would do with this space. Of course, I hope it goes without saying, this stupid chair has to go. If it's a chair. Is it an erector set? Is it a musical instrument? It certainly isn't capable of sustaining the sitting weight of a normal human being. And therefore, it is not technically a chair. It's some sort of accent piece. And I'd get rid of this dumb desk while you're at it. I don't know that I'd have a desk in here. I think what I'd rather have is fill this wall. You'd want to get rid of this dumb model and whatnot. But fill this wall, floor-to-ceiling bookcases, and this wall, floor-to-ceiling bookcases, and maybe a day bed right here. A little couch, a little sloped-up couch with wooden legs. I'm sure that there's an antique store within a block of this place that will sell what I want. And a good antique store. So the day bed I'm talking about will be nice and plush and solid steel. It won't be steel like this thing, but it will be heavy wood. It won't break when you use it. And it's right under the window. Perfect for summer days when you want to crack the window open a little. Perfect for winter days when you want to sit partially upright on that daybed and watch the snow come down over the city. I get rid of the workspace, though, because much as I hate to say it, those kinds of workplaces are just anachronistic, I think. They're dude bro things. They're productivity bro things. I would be willing to set my productivity against anybody's, and I don't use them. I have that desk out there, and I don't use it. I work sitting up in bed as God intended, or on pillows here on the fainting couch. But the key is that although most of the decisions about that loft are wrong, the bare bones of the place are lovely and probably very nice, very cozy, which is wonderful, just wonderful. I would strip it out bare and rework it all, but the key is that it's not a failure just inherently. And there's so many inherent failures in Architectural Digest. And do you know what constitutes an inherent failure of an architectural space? Those of you who have been through Donoghue Does Decor a few times will know already. You'll be saying it out loud. But allow me to inform those of you who are new to the channel. I have an old friend of me named Deb. If you check back in my 9,000 video back catalog, you will find plenty of interviews where we have talked with each other. We don't live in the same city anymore, but thanks to the wonders of technology, we can give each other sass over Zoom and record it for all of you to watch. So that years and years ago when we did that first one, my comments were absolutely full of people saying, without any antagonism at all, full of people saying, I never in a million years thought Deb was real. That's how you judge whether or not an architectural space is successful or not. Not with the dumb, trendy decorations that the cokehead owners put in, because you can take those out. But with the space itself, you want to ask yourself one simple question about any space or any piece of furniture. I'm talking about that erector set desk chair, for instance. Not, is this space or is this piece of furniture congenial to me? Because you are a loser. You don't matter. No, what you have to ask yourself is this space or piece of furniture congenial to Steve and Deb? The two coolest octogenarians in the world. Two big, ungainly, sweaty, complaining, old people. Are not trendsetting at all. Now, you still want us as guests. You especially want to be our guests. You still want that to be true. But none of the jet-setting stuff. If your home is not functionally homely, then we're not going to like it. We're not going to be comfortable. We're going to be worried. We're going to drop things or bump into things or break things just by sitting on them. Like, for instance, what is that? What is that? What is that space? That is not space for human beings. And we're going to get a lot of that in this issue and in every issue. But like I said, the front of the magazine is usually just ads and such. And this magazine is a little different because it's a little heavy on the profiles, but we have to move all the way to the back of the magazine, to the second half of the magazine, to get more discoveries and actual home profiles. And we have one. Where is this? This is, usually it's a feature called The Dealer's Eye. usually the profiles say right up front and really in big letters where the place is because the owners want you to know that. I think this is in upstate New York. It's a lovely wooded property that these two have refashioned. Again, the couch is looking away from the window. You sit on the couch and you want to look at that view, you have to crane your neck and turn around. Deb and I haven't been able to crane our necks since the 1970s. And it was the 1970s that cost us the ability to do that. So, no, that won't work. It won't work. Also, Deb and I are not going to want to be a football field away from the fireplace, if that fireplace works. I don't know if it does or not. But I seem to remember that these two did something interesting. They did make all sorts of poor decisions. Not only you get built-in shelves and you don't put books on them, but what you do put on them is bad art. I mean, really, you're going to put art on them, at least make it good art. But I seem to remember that they did something interesting. See, something like that, that's not a chair for a human being. So why have it? It's certainly not a chair for me or Deb. The obligatory giant rooster, a bunch of delicate stuff that if we so much as look at it, this whole credenza is going to fall over and shatter into 1,000 pieces. But that seat cushion is not attached to this back cushion, so the minute we sit down, it's going to shoot out like a frisbee. And then what are we supposed to do on these arms? Why don't you just go all the way and have little metal spikes coming up out of them? What are we supposed to do with our arms on there? Then our arms would go numb and painful after 5 seconds of resting them on, I guess we're supposed to call these armrests? Ridiculous. Why would you even make furniture like that? But let's move on to, I think we're at the point now where, see, that is not architecture for human beings. This is not for human beings. I don't know who it is for. Maybe those big white-faced aliens in the Prometheus movie, but this is not for people. All of it is white. Deb and I are human spills. Whatever you give us of any kind, we will spill it. This thing would be Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. It's not for humans. The lighting, the spacing, none of it is for humans. And that makes it suspect. Why does Architectural Digest constantly show architecture that isn't for humans? Do they have a clientele that they're not telling us about? I don't know. But let's turn to, because we don't have this to take the whole video. Let's turn to the home profiles at the back. And we'll start with Cooperstown, New York, home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's on a broad wooded property, and at first, this is our family. They are intensely fake. This kid never reads. This kid isn't allowed to stand up there or even be in this room. That's not quite as far apart as he and she usually like to be, and as they've told their lawyers they insist on being. And this isn't human. This is a space. These chairs, of course, utterly worthless. They are not comfortable. They, in fact, are agonizing. This is a space that is meant for you to walk your guests, and let's face it, Deb and I are never going to be guests in this house, to walk your guests to the entranceway to this space and show it to them. And then wait for their gasp of awe. It is not a space for you to walk them in so that they can enjoy it. It's actively off-putting. I can't figure out. This little kid is there. I can't figure out if this is just open. I mean, I can't imagine that they would let young Joffrey stand on the window that's wide open where he could just be pushed off. A fate that, let's face it, even at that age, he almost certainly already deserves. That is the house. It is rather nice. The exteriors are rather nice. The interiors have been completely ruined. They've been completely dehumanized. So I'm seeing harsh 90-degree angles. So here's a nice big wall. No, don't use it for anything. It's a prison. This is Donoghue, so don't use it for anything. You can't even chisel off little lines to mark how many days you've been in there. No, you have to leave it alone. And whatever this is, yeah, it's what it's called is an attic that they're not just somehow not doing. And you've got this outdoor pool, but don't be fooled. You know as well as I do that no swimming is allowed in this pool. That was for this photo shoot. And here you've got, I guess I've got a gazebo down in the lower 40 with these views. Those views are very nice. Very, very nice. They're a little bit ruined by these two tow-headed youths running towards the camera like that. Not so much because of them. They look like perfectly visually presentable young men. It's just, I look at them in this background with those parents, and all I can think about is the horrible things they are going to do as members of the Trump administration to your children in 10 years. They look all happy and carefree now, but they've never known want, and they've never known anything but disdain for want. You've got a bedroom here. Again, maybe something could be done with the raw elements of this, but none of this, none of it. The fake flowers you're not allowed to look at, or unless they're real, where the terrified illegal alien help is made to tend them every day and is beaten severely and locked in a cellar if they don't. This is supposed to be a four-poster, but look at it. It's a four-poster bed is supposed to be ornate, not minimalist. And this person, who is that? Just watching the proceedings in the room. Ridiculous. Absolutely. And also, of course, the outdoor little patio there with ostentatious chopped wood. Never mind the baby. Just do boo-boo-boo. We have no issues with you. But the ostentatious chopped wood there. Yeah, the master of the house, I'm sure, chops wood. Then we move to another creative. Keep in mind, that is false. There is no such thing as people who are inherently creative and non-creative. It's just a muscle, like anything else. But here we move to an actor. His name is Walter Goggins. I could swear I recognize him from the great old TV show The Shield, but maybe not. But he decided that he wanted to move to the Hudson Valley. He was tired of the rat race of Hollywood. So he wanted to move to the Hudson Valley. Now, for this profile, I mostly noticed his black lab, Lucy, who is absolutely adorable. But there was a mystery to this profile. That is the actor. And there he is at the, ostentatiously unfinished doorway there. But there's an element of this that a little bit confused me. Here we have a little solarium. Again, de rigueur. The seats are not only not against the wall, which all seats need to be, but they are not viewing anything, unless there's a window here, but I bet there's not. I bet that right here there's a gigantic floor-to-ceiling picture of Walter Goggins and his wife that you have to look at. But this is a kind of dining room, I guess. There is Lucy again, poop. I kind of like the recessed built-in fire. I kind of like that a lot. That would be easy to tend and probably pretty effective. But the thing that confused me about this room is the built-in bookshelves. I don't know if you're going to be able to make out any of those spines, but some of those spines are real. That's Fisk's book, Great War for Civilization. That's, I think, the collected Ibsen in paperback. The books on that shelf look real. They look like the kind of books you would actually have on your shelves if you read books. Now, no Hollywood actor does. So that's a little confusing. And it made me hesitate for a minute because, of course, for your Architectural Digest photo shoot, you can buy books by the yard to go on your shelves. In Hudson Valley is not too far away for the Brattle to solve that problem for you. The Brattle actually will do that. I've seen them do it, where they are going through and they've been told by a set designer, which is basically what the photographer for Architectural Digest would be, what the look they want is. And they will just scour the shelves for those books, come up with the right yardage, the right variation, the right aesthetic appeal. The Brattle gets paid to do that. Off the books go. Usually the books will come back. Usually it's just for, the payment is for the shipping and the choosing, the picking and all that, the expert handling and whatnot. But it never looks like that. That looks like a bookcase that someone would have. And that just can't be. That absolutely just can't be. And yet it happens again in this monstrous living room. What is this? What is that? What is this? I don't have any idea what any of this stuff is. What is this? Am I supposed to sit in this? Or am I supposed to be examined in there somehow? I'll be a dentist. But right here on this little whatever it is, this little block stool, is a stack of books. And they also seem, I don't know how to be able to make them out. Of course, there's a little life on top. But they also seem a little real to me. Like the kind of books that you would have if you read. Same thing over here. For a brief second, this profile had me thinking maybe these two actually read. Of course, I got my definitive proof that they don't with pictures of the bedroom. The master bedroom. Not only does it not have books on the nightstand, it doesn't even have a nightstand. And no reader. The bed is too tall for you to put the books on the floor. They might have cleaned up. Maybe they leave it messy with lots of books everywhere, but I don't think so. And so you can take the boy out of L.A., but you can't take the L.A. out of the boy. He goes to the Hudson Valley. He buys a nice old home. What's he do with the wall? He hangs hats. But then we get to perhaps the closest run thing in the whole issue. The nearest of near misses. Where is this? This is in New York City, I think. Yeah, this is in New York City. This woman has, I think it's her children. Let's see here. Her 3 children. Wick, Zinnia, and Rascal. I'm not joking. Those are the names of her children. Wick, Zinnia, and Rascal. Thank you, baby. Do you want to come down here and sit with me? Want to come down here? Oh, come on. There you go. There you go. We're going to start this drama again. Frida, you're going to go over there, and then you're going to want to come right back here. You're going to want to come right back here. I'm not over there. All right, well, we're almost done anyway. We're almost done with Architectural Digest. We still have a bit to go. So let's see what Wick, Zinnia, and Rascal, where they live. I want to stress to you parents out there, especially you expectant parents, your children are not toys. They're not wish fulfillments of yours. They're not toys, and they're not wish fulfillments of yours. They're actually real. They're actually real people. Which is not something that anyone is going to suspect of Wick, Zinnia, and Rascal. But leaving aside, that is just full-blown psychotic. And leaving aside that, this is a pretty good room. It's got a nice feel to it in addition to all the tchotchkes and kitschki. And here we have the living room with the obligatory fireplace. And that's not quite so bad. A little bit of tweaking with these chairs. I love the individual chairs instead of a gigantic, Soviet 1950s style corporate couch that seats 500. I like that. And I'm hoping that these doors are functional, that you can actually step outside. I like the individual chairs, and I think that with a little tweaking, they would work for the room. I actually like the room, except for the surgical absence of books on the walls. And this hallways like that, little houses like this, little properties like this in New York City will have details like these all through them that are just lovely. Oh, just lovely. I feel sorry for the people who grew up in these, like Wick, Zinnia, and Rascal, who will never know how nice they are. Oddly enough, they're in the Architectural Digest photo spread, but they are blind to what's around them. They don't appreciate it at all. But you've got little spaces like this. That's just a little alcove where you can go and sit on those plush cushions. I would change it completely, except the space itself is lovely. I wouldn't change the window. Probably wouldn't change the doors or anything like that. I'd get rid of this, we're at a diner, isn't this like wild? For these people who have never left their home. Zinnia and Rascal don't leave their home. They do everything remotely. Everything's delivered to them. They don't set foot outside. You've got the master bathroom. A nice shower here, and a very nice deep tub. That will definitely get 2 thumbs up from me and Deb. And this nice little desk unit with pretty good lighting. I wouldn't use that because it's not really a functional desk. These things with the shelves that flap down, those shelves are never strong enough to work on. Never. They look good, but they're not. You're not supposed to. Maybe you might write a little note if on one little piece of card if you're Jane Austen's mother, but you can't work on it. Something like that. I would get, as nice a piece as this is, I would get rid of it in favor of a desk or maybe just a couch. And those are the main profiles that we have. There's a weird profile of a new woman's mosque in Qatar. It's hideous, of course, but the whole time that I was looking at it, all I could think was, enjoy it while you can. You're not gonna have this in 5 years. So this building is still going to be here, but it's going to be for men, not for you. Then we have, I think the last profile here is a Los Angeles home, and it is just we go right back to lost cause territory, because there's not a single thing in this entire place that is for humans. It's all just, you're not supposed to move or touch anything even a little. See, there's a pool. First of all, I can tell already from the profile that I read, and also from the decor itself, that the number one most important thing in this profile is not being shown. There is a hookah in every room of this house. Those have been removed. Here, 2 at least, constantly. Kitchen, living room, everything. But what is this? As a bedroom? What is that? I don't even know. I have no idea. What is this? You're not allowed to swim in that pool or go anywhere near it. I think these 2 are the ones who have... Yeah, there's a chessboard that you're not allowed to touch. It hasn't been changed in forever. You're not allowed to touch it, and there'll be serious repercussions if you do. Oh, no, these aren't the ones. The last profile is from a Portland, Oregon home. I looked at the family there, and for a minute I thought maybe she was young enough so that we would get our old friend, the giant, creepy, stuffed giraffe. But actually, this issue is free of giant, creepy, stuffed giraffes. It has a lovely tangle garden out there, what Jane Austen referred to as the shrubbery, but you're not allowed to use it. The gardeners go out there, and they have to work 9 hours a day in the broiling hot sun, and they don't get paid, and they don't get insurance, and they're not documented, so they better not complain about it. But you're not allowed to go out there. And then you've got this room, this little glass table with the 2, oh, how, isn't this wacky, 2 cocktail glasses on top there, but they are actually cemented to the top of the table, and you're not allowed to touch them. And the same thing with the outdoor pool. Yeah, here's the master bedroom. How inviting. How lovely. God help us. But yeah, here's an outdoor pool. See, very lush, lavish green setting there, and there's the pool reflecting the green, all very nice and aesthetic. What's missing from this picture? Any invitation that a human being is supposed to enjoy this space. There are no seats, there are no steps into the pool, no couch, no paving, no steps, nothing. Because you're not supposed to enjoy it. You're not supposed to go anywhere near it. So you can see that the balance of this issue was inhuman architecture, alien architecture of the type that Architectural Digest seems to go in for. But don't you go in for it. Let's just remember that. When you're making your own architecture... Do you want to come back over here, baby? We go through this every time. I'm over here. Can you... Come on, I'm over here. You're just going to go over there and stare at me with your raccoon eyes. Are you going to make yourself comfortable? Huh? There we go. Oh, there we go. All right. As I was saying, the key thing here is not so much all the bad choices being made in any issue of Architectural Digest. It's don't you make them. All of your architectural decisions should be made with one yardstick in mind. Would Deb and I be comfortable there? But anyway, after 30 minutes, let's move on to the mail. That's the whole point of this video. Let's see what we have here, and maybe handicap a little of it. Talk about what chances there are for reviewing. That's always worth talking about. I often forget to do that. Okay, this first one is a finished hardcover, so almost certainly there is no chance of pitching. Oh no, this is due in late March. So that's a month away. It doesn't feel it, because it's 2 degrees outside with 90-mile-an-hour winds, and the sidewalks are covered in 4 inches of ice that is harder than steel. But nevertheless, late March is only a month away. That's tough. Most editors will have their March planned out by now, but you never know. It's not like it's out now. This is by Joshua Hammer, and it is called The Mesopotamian Riddle. An archaeologist, a soldier, a clergyman, and the race to decipher the world's oldest writing. This is by the Badass Librarians of Timbuktu, that author. A fast-paced adventure story about the decades-long quest of 3 free-spirited Victorians to decipher cuneiform, the world's oldest writing. Starting around 3,500 BCE, which stands for, as one pedantic comment pointed out to me just recently, before Common Era. Not before Christian Era, it's before Common Era. And what is the dividing line? What determines Common Era? Is it some sort of utensil usage? Perhaps the dredging of the Suez Canal? Oh, it's Christianity. Oh, okay. Cuneiform script chronicled the military conquests, scientific discoveries. There were none. There were none. Art and artistic contributions of the great kingdoms of Mesopotamia. But as these civilizations sunk into the desert sands, the meaning of the characters was lost. By the mid-19th century, archaeologists in the Ottoman Empire had discovered strange, wedge-shaped symbols etched in clay. Okay, there's an effort going on here in this pub sheet. I'm going to let it go. I'm not just going to keep objecting to it. Deciphering cuneiform opened up the possibility of looking back further in human history than ever before, promising insights into the establishment of first urban communities, the development of agriculture, and everyday life in Assyria and Babylon. But Europe's best linguists struggled to decipher the lost writing, and with some experts believing each symbol could be pronounced up to 10 different ways. At a time when society was obsessed with human progress, to successfully decipher the script would offer one scholar the immortality given only to those who make once-in-a-century intellectual breakthroughs. Oh, 2 people made that. Do you know their names? No. So I guess there's immortality and there's immortality. This comes out as a hardcover. This is actually a lovely hardcover. You can't really tell on camera, but this is just a lovely embossed job that's done here. Lovely thing. So that's a late March release. Don't really need to think about reviewing because it's a little late. We'll see if that's true for the rest of these things. Let's see. Let's try and make a neat little pile here. What have we got? Why do you keep doing this? This is from the University of Chicago Press. This is by Jill Prutz, and it's called Apes on the Edge, Chimpanzee Life on the West African Savannah. It's a cute little paperback. I don't know if this is a finished copy, and the reason that I don't know is because the pub sheet that they sent is simply one sentence telling me that the book exists. Well, I have it in my hand, so I actually know that. That's a pretty big waste of paper. But let's read about the book ourselves. This is part of the Animal Lives series. This could easily be an original paperback. It's a university press, so they usually don't have prices on the back, so there's no price or information here. Well, let's read the back and see. It could come out in this format, though. Fongoli chimpanzees are unique. Their female hunters are the only apes that regularly hunt with tools, seeking out tiny bush babies with wooden spears. These chimps also fear neither water nor fire, using shallow pools to cool off in the Senegalese heat. Up to 90% of their home range burns annually, the result of human hunting and clearing for gold mining, and the Fongoli chimpanzees have learned to predict the movements of such fires and to avoid them. The study of Fongoli chimps is also unique. While most primitive research occurs in isolated reserves, Fongoli chimpanzees live alongside humans, creating both challenges and opportunities for conservation. The issues faced by these chimpanzees, particularly food scarcity and environmental degradation, are also issues faced by their human neighbors. Okay, and Jill, it's Prutz, is a professor of anthropology at Texas State University, and has studied primates in Kenya, Nicaragua, Panama, Costa Rica, Peru since 2001, and has been special principal investigator of the Fongoli Savannah Chimpanzee Project in Senegal. Okay, all right, so she knows exactly what she's talking about. She is literally one of the best qualified people to write this book. So now the only question will be, can she write it? Is she an all good writer? We will see. I don't have a date for it. I'm assuming that it's a February release. I was so on the ball about new releases, and then I had a house guest, and that threw everything off. So I need to get back to being very punctilious about new releases. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, okay, all right. This one was on my mind while David Murphy was here. Definitely. I was assuming that the used bookstores that we went to, the 50,000 used bookstores that we went to, would not let me down. And they did on this particular subject. This is a new biography. This comes out in May, so eminently pitchable. Eminently pitchable. It's a good, interesting subject. It's a long way from now. The only halt to it will be that it not only is it nonfiction, which most editors don't want, but it's nonfiction that isn't about World War II or Abraham Lincoln. So even the editors who might be convinced to do a nonfiction review, If your review pitch to them, if the first question they're going to ask when they're done reading it is, well, I don't know what any of this is, then they're probably not going to say yes. But this is by Tom Arnold Forster, and it's called Walter Lippmann, An Intellectual Biography. So naturally, when I saw that this was coming, what I wanted was a battered, used copy of Walter Lippmann and the American Century. Classic 9, this is a tiny little thing, but that's like 800 pages long. It's incredibly good. It's incredibly enjoyable. It swept the world. Once upon a time, when I'm not looking for it, I'm tripping over copies of it at every used bookstore I go to. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, you really should get that to bone up on the truly great Walter Lippmann biography, and it was nowhere to be found. It's probably 45 copies at your thrift store right now. And once this book is done, I get the finished copy. It's done. It's in bookstores, and then it's gone, and it's headed to Remainder. It'll show up at the Brattle. That book will show up at the Brattle. Walter Lippmann was utterly fascinating. So I don't know what kind of a job this author will do. Let's read about it a little. Walter Lippmann, who lived from 1889 to 1974, was among the most influential and wide-ranging political writers in modern America. As both a journalist and political theorist, he shaped ideas about liberalism and democracy, the nature of public opinion, U.S. power and empire, and the roles of journalists, experts, and citizens. The author of this book provides a bold historical reassessment of Lippmann's intellectual life, offering fresh perspectives on a career at the intersection of daily news and democratic theory. This incisive book shows how Lippmann helped define the public debates of American liberalism from the Progressive Era to the Cold War. By exploring his ideas in their historical context, the author challenges the claim that Lippmann was primarily a theorist of expertise and technocracy. Instead, Lippmann emerges as a strikingly political thinker, public-facing and multifarious, who focused on what politics meant and how it worked in modern democracies. I'm all for it. The last 6 biographies I have read in the last 10 years that called themselves an intellectual biography could not wait to fling the subject's clothing off and get them into the bedrooms of their various mistresses. In other words, not intellectual. So I don't know if this will be the same here. I don't know how personal this will get. It's been a long time since I read a biography that called itself an intellectual biography and was one. I think the last time there was one of David Hume, and I think that was the last one that I read. That was a long time ago. But who is the author when he's at home? He is the Kinder Career Development Fellow in Atlantic History at the University of Oxford's Rothermere American Institute. Okay, I don't believe that any of that is real, but I'll read this, of course, without finding a copy of Walter Lippmann and the American Century. But it's going to feel weird. It's weird how when you're looking for something, it's the last thing you find at a used bookstore when you can't help but find it when you're not looking for it. But anyway, let's do this last one. Sorry about the length of this mail haul. It has its length mainly because we talked about a magazine for half an hour, or I did. Let's see here. I'm getting a lot of paperwork that does not matter. A lot of invoices. Okay, this is by Andrew Porwanker. Let's pray to whatever gods may be that he does not pronounce his surname that way. We'll call him Andrew. This is called American Maccabee, Theodore Roosevelt and the Jews. And this is one of 4, at least, that I know of, new books coming out about Theodore Roosevelt that look like they want to study him, actually study him, as opposed to San Juan Hill and Bully and whatnot. The usual dumb crap that you get with a Theodore Roosevelt book. There are 4 books coming out that don't give me that kind of feeling at all. And this is one of them. So this comes out in June. Again, eminently pitchable, and much more so than the Walter Lippmann book, because nobody knows who Walter Lippmann is anymore. Theodore Roosevelt, your book section editor, if you're pitching a piece to a book section editor, well, first of all, good luck finding one. There aren't many. I'm one. But most newspapers fold their book section editor into a whole bunch of other jobs. So if you read the fine print of the About Us section of their website, you might be able to find the person who, in addition to, washing the pots, cooking the pastrami, cleaning the windows, maybe doing cultural reporting or entertainment reporting, way down in the fine print of their list of jobs, maybe there'll be books editor. Probably not. a lot of if you're pitching a book like this around, this is eminently pitchable because Roosevelt has name recognition. He's on Mount Rushmore. Uh, if you're pitching this around, a book section editor or whoever has that job will at least recognize his name, which is great. They might balk at the subject. They might balk at Theodore Roosevelt and the Jews. They might be embracing the anti-Semitism that is rising all over the world. They might not be fighting that at all, or they might think that they're not embracing it, but my readers definitely are, and are not going to want to hear about this. Give me a book about Theodore Roosevelt in office, sure, but Theodore Roosevelt and the Jews, that's not going to fly. I know people in 2025 who will say stuff like that out loud now. And if I remember correctly, the other 3 Theodore Roosevelt books coming out this year, we'll be happy to oblige. They don't touch on anything that could be even remotely viewed as sensitive in the modern moment. So let's see here. A major biography of a mesmerizing statesman whose complex bond with the Jewish people forever shaped their lives and his legacy. A scion of the Protestant elite, Theodore Roosevelt was an unlikely ally of the waves of impoverished Jewish newcomers who crowded the docks at Ellis Island. Yet from his earliest years, he forged ties with Jews never before witnessed in a president. Ooh, yeah, okay, keep in mind, this is just a pub sheet. This is not the book. I don't know that Andrew thinks this at all, but that claim is wrong. The Protestant elite had a much better track record with Jewish refugees, Jewish intellectuals, Jewish correspondents overseas than, for instance, the Catholic elite did. Anyway, it could just be straw manning for the sake of upping the drama in the book. Yet from his earliest years, he forged ties with Jews never before witnessed in a president. This book traces Roosevelt's deep connection with the Jewish people at every step of his dazzling ascent. But it also reveals a man of contradictions, whose checkered approach to Jewish issues was no less conflicted than the nation he led. As a rising political figure in New York, Roosevelt barnstormed the Lower East Side, giving speeches to packed halls of Jewish immigrants. He rallied to reform of the sweatshops where Jewish laborers toiled for pitiful wages in perilous conditions, and he repeatedly venerated the heroism of the Maccabee warriors, upholding those storied rebels as a model of the American Jewish community. Yet little could have prepared him for the blood-soaked persecution of Eastern European Jews that brought a deluge of refugees to American shores during his presidency. Andrew uncovers the vexing challenges for Roosevelt as he confronted Jewish suffering abroad and anti-Semitic xenophobia at home. Okay, that sounds really good. Drawing on new archival research to paint a richly nuanced portrait of an iconic figure, this book chronicles the complicated relationship between the leader of a youthful nation and the people of an ancient faith. Okay, whoever wrote this pub sheet really did pull the thing out of a tailspin. That's wonderfully done. So who is Andrew when he's at home? A professor of history at Arizona State University. Good Lord. And he wrote a book about the Jewish world of Alexander Hamilton. So he's got a little bit of form when it comes to writing about American presidents and the Jews. Interesting. Of course, the number one book on this subject is a completely different subject, a completely different take on the subject, because the number one book on American presidents and the Jews is a book about Roosevelt, but it's Franklin Roosevelt, not Theodore Roosevelt, and it's a tale of woe, tragedy, and cowardice, not a tale of outreach and heroism. So I've never read a book on this subject before, specifically devoted to this subject. Great, fantastic. So this is a pretty Steve mail haul. There wasn't any of the made up stories, and a lot of these things look good. And also, I can't help but notice 2 of these things are from the folks at Princeton University Press, and the folks at Princeton University Press and I, we get along. we really get along. So we have American Maccabee, Theodore Roosevelt and the Jews. We have Walter Lippmann, an intellectual biography, we'll see. We have Apes on the Edge, about just one group of chimpanzees, the Fongoli chimpanzees, and the Mesopotamian riddle by Joshua Hammer, about the struggle to decipher cuneiform. I love it. I love my job. So there you go. That is the mail for today. I'll wrap this up for now. Sorry for the length of the video, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.